All right, guys, let's talk about lesson 4, benefits and risks. Let's talk about the uses of radioactive isotopes. Why do we need to know about them? They're used to date materials. So, a couple of examples are that carbon-14 is used to date organic materials. Now, carbon-14 has a half-life that is long, but it is not as long as, say, uranium, which is used to date rocks. Organic materials have a longer lifespan, so to figure out how long something has been dead, you would use carbon-14, where if you wanted to figure out rock or soil samples that have been around for thousands of years, you would use uranium because it has a longer half-life. AM or Americanium 241 is used in smoke detectors. So what happens is that you have this radioactive source, and the radioactive source will shoot out alpha particles. When it shoots out alpha particles, they will go through and your smoke detector. And what happens when it happens is when smoke gets in the way of those alpha particles going through your smoke detector and going through the electricity and blocking that, that's when your smoke alarm goes off in your house. So if your smoke alarm is going off, that's because your radioactive source is being blocked from sending out a signal to the rest of the smoke alarm. There's also medical applications. These must have a really short life if you are going to expose yourself to these radioactive isotopes, because remember, these radioactive isotopes release radioactive material, and that is harmful to us. So they have to have a short half-life and quickly be eliminated from the body. So iodine 131 is used as a thyroid treatment. It's used to treat hypothyroidism. And cobalt 60 is used to treat cancer. So what will happen is that if you were to ingest iodine, and then you would be put into a machine, and the gamma probe would measure the thyroid gland's radioactivity. And that's how they would use iodine 131 to figure out what's going on with your thyroid. Technetium-99 is used to detect tumors. So when you're going to, sometimes you'll be exposed to technetium-99, and that will go through your body and it will figure out where the tumors are in your body so that, people can perform surgeries and get those tumors out. There are dangers and risks of being exposed to radioactive substances. Damage to tissue. A lot of the times when you undergo radiation for cancer treatments, patients get really sick, and that's because it's damaging good, healthy tissue because of the exposure to the radiation. Gene mutation. Sometimes genes will mutate and they won't be able to behave and act like they normally would. Pollution due to radioactive waste. This is what we saw when 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, when those two meltdowns happened. A lot of people got sick because they were exposed to the radiation, and a lot of crops were killed because of radioactive pollution. And then accidents from nuclear reactors. So if a nuclear reactor leaks or, like I said earlier, has a meltdown, something along those lines, those are all things that can harm humans, animals, living things, anytime they come in contact with them. So this flower in Japan was near a nuclear radiation facility, and it was exposed to nuclear radiation because that's when the facility in Japan had a leak, and it mutated. This daisy does not look like it should look, and that's because of radiation exposure. When we talked about fission, again, remember, fission is when you split a large nuclei into two smaller nuclei. Fission reactions produce radioactive waste, and the radioactive waste must be stored. Currently, the waste is being placed in large lead boxes under the ground all over the country. So the little green dots are sites that's storing spent nuclear fuel, high levels of radioactive waste, and or surplus plutonium designated for geological deposition. So in Ohio, we have a couple, but I mean, and in some states there are none, but like Illinois has a bunch, and that's not good. You don't want to be near these nuclear power plants or places where they're storing and getting rid of nuclear waste because, yes, the lead boxes are underground and are protecting from the radiation getting out, but still, that doesn't protect from all the radiation. Gamma radiation can pretty much penetrate through anything. It might just take a while. And so, a lot of people could get radiation poisoning or be exposed to radiation concerns and turn sick if they live close to these sites. The Yucca Mountains in Nevada is a large long-term storage facility for nuclear waste and testing. There's not a lot of things and civilization that's around it. It's kind of going to be down, and you can see it's down within a valley, so it does have some protection. But again, this facility, if you were to work at this facility, you would have to go radiation screenings and make sure that you keep up your health, because if you're exposed to this radiation for long periods of time, gene mutations, tissue damage, all of those things could be a side effect of having a job. And that concludes our Unit 4 on nuclear chemistry.